What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. This one's going to be a decently important one. And here's why I say it, right? So, anybody who's been even the slightest into guns for longer than a couple weeks knows that guns are expensive. Ammo is expensive. Gun accessories are expensive. This is not a cheap hobby. All right. Now, with that being said, a lot of people they do like to try to go as cheap as they can to make to get the most bang for their buck. They want to, you know what I mean? I understand wanting to save money. Some people have kids, things along those lines. However, you can't cheap out too much because if you cheap out, you're going to end up with garbage. That's something that we all know here. But y'all read the title, y'all saw the thumbnail. These are my top 3 budget pistols. These are pistols that you can get that are not going to break the bank. And when I say they're not going to break the bank, I mean they are under $350. Uh, they're reliable, and I'm willing to stand by them considering I own them. All right, now I will say actually one on this list, I technically own, but not 100% because I haven't completed it yet. And I'm sure if you guys are, have already been fans of the channel, you know what I'm talking about. I'll get into that last. So, first off, let's start with, honestly, my favorite out of them, all right, which is the Taurus G2C. This is my carry gun, guys, all right? So I can say that, I guess, a bit of a bias towards it, all right? Chambered in 9mm, the standard mags are 12 plus one in the chamber. That gives you a 13 round capacity. It does its job. It's a great gun. I spent $275 on mine. I hear people who have spent $200. I hear some people who spent $225. Someone actually just commented under one of my videos that they only spent $100 on theirs, which shit. If they did, good for them, man. Good for them. Good on them. That's a good deal. I mean, depending on the condition, I guess you would say, that could be a great deal. But let me stop getting off topic of that. A very reliable gun, very affordable. Now, one of the cool things about this gun is that it's a decently popular gun, which means there's going to be an aftermarket for it too. There's going to be aftermarket parts that you can get, and you have a decent chance of it working. You can do shit to your G2C. Now, for example, if you don't want to go 100% aftermarket, you'd rather go with OEM parts. However, you still want to get something extra for your G2C. The G2C fits G3 mags. It's, you know what I mean? Like, for example, my backup mag when I carry is my 15 round G3 mag. You see what I mean? So it's definitely a good gun for the price it is. The capacity is definitely, here's the thing, guys. I believe the minimum capacity you should have if you're looking for something to defend your home would be 10 rounds minimum. And that's really, pushing it on the low side. You know what I mean? So 12 plus 1, that just goes above my minimum that I'm okay with. So I'd be perfectly fine with that. It is a very small gun, not too small that it's hard to grip or hard to shoot, but small enough that it makes it damn easy to conceal. And that's the main reason for that gun, realistically speaking, was concealed carry. However, you can use the gun for whatever you want to. If you get the gun and say, hey, this would be a good home defense gun, that's on you. You know what I mean? But it is a great gun for the price. I can't think of one time it's malfunctioned on me. I'm actually trying to think now. No, I can't think of one time it's actually malfunctioned on me. I can think of one time. Actually, no, I can think of a couple of times where the slide didn't lock back. However, I can say a couple of those occasions were aftermarket mags, things like that. So, I don't really count that too much. Not to mention the slide locking back is not the biggest form of malfunction that I worry about. So that's not the biggest deal. However, it's not something I currently experience. My last time shooting it didn't have that issue by any standard. Let me see here. And then I can think of one time, and this would have nothing to do with the gun. This can happen with any gun. Is that it seemed that the casing of the cartridge got a tiny bit swelled when I had one in the chamber. and the slide locked up a little bit on it and made it difficult to get the round out the chamber. But all I had to do was just put a bit more oomph when racking the slide, and it was clear. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a great gun for the price. As I said, there's been no malfunctions that we can actually, say were the gun's fault. You know what I mean? It has always functioned for me. Hell, I carry it. It is my concealed carry gun. All right. A great gun. Great gun. Now, I will say some people don't like the trigger. Honestly, I don't even like the trigger. Nobody really likes the G2C trigger. However, you just get used to it. After a while, you do get used to it. And as I said, there are aftermarket parts. So that's number one on the top 3 budget gun list. Taurus G2C. Great gun. Next one, Smith & Wesson SD9VE. Now, before I continue on, I feel like y'all should understand this. These guns that I'm going to be speaking on are guns that I know. Otherwise, how can I say they're my top 3 budget guns? If I have had zero experience with these guns, I cannot sit here and say they're my top 3. I can't say any of that. So before you start commenting down below, oh, well, what about this gun? You missed this gun. I think this gun's better than this. I don't care. I don't. All right. I'm talking about guns that are my top 3 budget guns. These are my top 3 that I would recommend to somebody who is looking to buy a budget pistol. So back to what I was saying. Number 2 on the list, Smith & Wesson SD9VE. All right. Now, this was actually my first gun. All right. Great gun. A similar thing with the trigger. That's something that you might find decently common with cheaper guns is you might not like the trigger as much as you could with more expensive guns, which that's not the biggest deal. There are upgrades that you can get for pretty much any gun in regards to the trigger, as long as there's somewhat an aftermarket for it. However, you're not going to be really noticing the trigger too much if you're defending your life with a gun. So I do want to point that out. 16 plus 1, so it gives you a total of 17 rounds of 9mm. That's if you keep the one in the chamber. It is a solid gun. Let me see here. I know just based off the top of my head, I can think of one malfunction I've had with it. And once again, wasn't a problem with the actual gun itself, was the stick mag I was using, and it was a combination of the stick mag and the type of ammo I was using for it. All it was a nosedive. Other than that, has ran flawlessly every single time. Never had an issue. If you're looking for a cheap self-defense gun, that might be it for you, because that gun more so meets the requirement, in my opinion, of capacity and things along those lines. Now, this is not saying the G2C does not. The G2C does, considering the fact that it is over my minimum and it does have the capability of accepting a larger capacity magazine. However, being the standard mag capacity, SD9, in my opinion, takes the cake on that. It's great capacity, great gun. The price, it depends where you get it from. I'll tell you all this right now. Mine was back when things were expensive as hell. So definitely wasn't, what it is now. Now I've heard people say they can get it for about $225. I've heard some people say $275. Just depends where you go online. Some people say $300, some say $325. As I said, it all just depends on where you're going. All right. Now, something I actually did not mention about the G2C that I should have, and this goes the same for the SD9VE as well, is that both have rails on them, meaning they are capable of attaching lights or lasers or a light and laser combo to it. So that is always a good thing as well. You definitely want the capability just in case you want to. All right. Now, one thing I can say about the SD9VE and the G2C, and what are you gonna say? Every gun has to have some sort of real downfall. The grips are kind of fucking sandpaper. You know what I mean? That's about it. Now, I'll be honest, it doesn't bother me when I'm shooting. It doesn't bother me When I'm, handling them, it doesn't bother me any other time other than in a carry situation. The G2C, I've found my ways around for. All right, I found my ways around. The SD9 is a whole nother story. However, there's still it's still a great gun. The SD9 VE is an amazing gun. There's no arguing that. I'm not sitting here trying to shit on it by any standard. I used it as my home defense gun. I use it as my everyday carry. It can be used for everything. It is a great budget pistol. There's no way around that. Now I'm trying to sit here and really think on if there's anything extra that's gonna put it above anything else, but there's not. And here's the thing: that's okay, guys, because these are cheaper guns. These are budget pistols. All right. These are not meant to be your top notch, echelon of guns. I'm not trying to do that. No, that's not what we're referring to here. All right. Now, you might have noticed a pattern with the two pistols I mentioned before. While both obviously being budget pistols, they're both 9mm. That's something that you're going to find because that's the most common handgun that you realistically are going to want in a self-defense situation, especially if you're going for something budget. It usually means if you're going for something that's budget, you're pretty new to guns, or you're just in a situation where you need to really save your money. And if you need to really save your money, you're going to want to go for something like 9mm, where the ammo is common. The ammo can be found easily. The ammo is not out the ass expensive. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to number 3. Number 3, last but not least. All right. And I will be doing a full review on this soon. I don't want to give an exact, day or whatever, because I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm going to, but I will be doing a full review soon on this. The Palmetto State Armory Dagger, a amazing budget gun, an amazing budget pistol. All right. Now, depending on what kind of slide you're wanting for your dagger, whether you're getting it complete, whether whatever you're doing, the most you should be spending is $325 at the most. At the most, I spent $80 in total for my frame. The slide I'm looking to get is $200 plus taxes, maybe another $20-$30 in total. Oh, even if we're going to be petty and add the transfer fee, still under $350. It's a Glock clone. They are good guns. Now, I will say this right now. This is one of the budget guns where you're going to see something a little different. The trigger on this gun is actually pretty good. Now, I don't want to go too far into it because it's just going to ruin the whole reason for doing an official review video later. However, I did get the problem with my dagger fixed with the trigger resetting. I reached out to Palmetto State Armory. They reached back to me. They helped me. We got it handled. You got it handled. And the trigger on that thing, I can see why people really like it. So that's something that we're going to see. It's a tiny bit different, is that the trigger on the dagger, people actually like. And that's kind of a crazy thing to think about, considering the fact that it's not exactly your standard Glock trigger, but I'm not going to get into that. Capable of accepting Glock parts, including magazines, slides, holsters, recoil springs, whatever you can want. Capable of accepting because it is a Glock clone. And as I said, with the price it is, that is definitely a great budget pistol to get. Now, a lot of people, they hear Glock and they're like, oh, well, that's what I want, a Glock, Glock, Glock. And especially if you grew up how I grew up, that's 90% of what these rappers are talking about. Oh, yeah, I got that Glock on me. Oh, yeah, that Glock 40. Oh, they talk about Glocks all the motherfucking time. That's almost all they talk about. That, Dracos, and ARs, but they call ARs 223s or 5.56s. So when you hear a Glock, it's like, okay, yeah, everybody wants a Glock. That's the standard of guns. You know what I mean? Is a Glock. So a clone for half the price as long as it functions, I'm all for it. I am all for it. And from what I have seen with my dagger, after I have gotten my issue complete with the trigger resetting, it's been smooth. It's been running smooth. Now, of course, as I said, I'll give y'all more information on that in the actual review video itself. However, a great, great, great budget pistol. Depending what slide you want, you're paying less than $350. You know, if you're like me and you don't want to get a slide with cuts, yeah, you're paying less than $350 for sure, no doubt about it. Now, of course, if you do want to sit there and spend extra money, get, you know, oh, I want to get this type of slide, I want to get this barrel for it, whatever. That's on you. You're Gucciing out your budget gun, but don't sit here and complain that it's not a budget gun after you do all that. What I am saying, what I'm recommending, is what would be considered a budget pistol. The Palmetto State Armory dagger with the standard no cut slide. It's you're gonna pay less than $350. You're paying less than $350 for a Glock clone that's gonna actually take Glock parts. And I know I kind of touched on it. A lot of people like to say they're not compatible with Glock holsters. Bullshit, they are. I have tested it. Well, I'll get into that a little bit later. Well, not later, but in the review. I think that about wraps it up for this video. I don't want to sit here and 100% give the we're over with, but hold on, let me trying to think if there's really anything else here that's noteworthy of adding in regards to the dagger. And I mean, of course, just like the G2C, the SD9VE has a rail capability of attaching a light or lasers to it. I guess another thing we could say here that you can say about Smith & Wesson and Palmetto State Armory, you can't say about Taurus, made in America. But that doesn't really make any of the arguments for this case. This case is about the top 3 budget pistols, and I think I nailed it on this one. Those are the top 3 that you can find for a great price. You're going to be looking at the Taurus G2C, the Smith & Wesson SD9VE, and the Palmetto State Armory dagger. With that being said, y'all go ahead and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me that these might just be the top 3 budget pistols around, go ahead and make sure to check out the podcast channel, Adam's channel, Centerfire Podcast, Gun.Net TV. Y'all know what the deal is. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.